Welcome back to another episode on the Coin King channel. It's your girl Down the Crypto TA, and I hope you can hear me. I kind of had to rearrange myself today. Um, as always, we're going to kick things off with just looking back at today. A couple of things that I posted on my X account at Down the Crypto TA. So we shared those things here. First things first, let's get minimized. All right. So Bitcoin. All right, so I ended up capturing this little channel here. It wasn't the best structured channel. I would have to say that. It had these 1, 2, 3 touches here that made it look a little bit legit to me. So I figured we'd go with it. And so I posted that you can trap price in here. And the setup that we were looking at yesterday before stream ended, which it didn't tap us in at that moment. We actually just got tapped into that position now. So I kept noticing that when we were coming down, we kept holding these lows. And I noticed that we had like these equal lows in here. So I figured that market makers would eventually come back down and execute this entry here because of the equal lows. Equal lows are a great place to return to. There's a lot of liquidity there. So we've just been pretty much chopping VWAP, repeatedly chopping VWAP, repeatedly trying to hold the 200 EMA, which at this point I'm not even concerned about anymore. I'm done with that. EMA, we didn't even come into the order block, but we have been defending this zone. We have seriously been defending this zone. And so I like that for Bitcoin right now. I was looking at some things on the daily time frame as well that look like we can still get that push up on Bitcoin. What that does for the altcoins, I'm not necessarily sure about that. Especially with dominance. And I didn't take a look at dominance today, but dominance is dominance today. So yeah, we came up, we did hit this one resistance level here that I highlighted yesterday on stream, and then we got a rejection from here. We have not come up here to hit this one just yet, and I do still think that there may be. I know I said yesterday I might want to take this off the table, which is that 120 to 121. But I think I can put it back on the table at this point. I'm going to show you something else that we've just been doing here on the chart. Let me slide this out a little bit more. Oh, let me just say this too. If there's a long setup or even a short setup, don't concern yourself with getting to the top to take profit. Like I usually will put on my profit tool that'll show you like different levels where you can take some money out just to secure some profits. But don't ever just think that you have to wait for it to get here. You always want to secure the bag. You always want to, you don't want to walk away with a losing trade, especially when you're in profit. You're in profit. You don't have to move the stop loss, but you can always modify to your own risk. So if I do something here and it just doesn't sit well with you, then change it. But again, we did get executed, so that's good. Let's see here. So just here on the 1 hour time frame, what I did was I looked at these two levels here from the daily chart, and it's really, if we're in this pocket, we're a lot safer. And if we're above here, we're clear and we can run. That is what I found from the daily time frame. So again, this little spot right here where we got stopped out at, and there are some moving averages that are capturing price on the daily time frame. So it's stopping it out right in here. So like I said, if we're above here, then we're safe. And if we're above here, we have the room to run. So we just have to do that. Golden pocket 786. That's basically where we've been so far. But the kicker for me is really the 4 hour time frame. So if you put on your Bollinger Bands and you put on your standard deviation 1 and 2, that's basically all we're doing. We're just going sideways and we're coming into the lower Bollinger Band between 2 and 1. And then we're stomping out at the top Bollinger Band between 2 and 1. So this is basically our range zone right now until we can clear this inside of our range. So I'm pretty much done with even the line chart. The line chart falling wedge that I did. I don't care about the falling wedges anymore. I don't care about any of that. I really just want to stick with my horizontals. I want to stick with my support and resistance levels, and I want to do it like that. I'm not concerned about Bitcoin breaking out of some triangle formation. None of that matters at this point because we do still have a catalyst. It's not a big catalyst, but it was just something that I recommended that everyone just kind of watch here. So you see how when we got that 4-hour candle close, I mean the daily candle close, how we just came back up. So basically just ripping people up, taking liquidity, and that's all it's about right now. It's about the liquidity. So here on the daily time frame, here's a ghost line here. Here's price action here in the blue, with our little falling wedge in here. The bear div here at the high, which created our correction here. And yesterday we were below the momentum line. Today we're back above it. And there's also a rising channel here for Bitcoin as well. So we know that we have the potential of this rising channel. We also have the ascending broadening formation, which all leads to here. All leads to price getting up here to this 130 target. It's still on the table. It's still on the table as long as we don't fully confirm this MACD. Because we're above the zero line, which is why I'm saying it like that. We're above the zero line, which means we can do this. We can do like we did here and push up again before coming down. And it may have even had a crossover here at one point. But before that daily candle closed, we recovered and we got that push up. It's a little bit concerning, so it is something to watch. Delta with the taps down here. I do believe that we broke this yesterday, but we managed to reclaim it by the time the daily close happened. So this may be a stopping point for it, hanging around here at the zero line. But if we really start to push in, like if we really, really, really start daily close with the break below here, then this will probably accelerate and we will be losing support. Where we need to hold that, I highlighted it in red. And that is here. And this is the target that we were saying that price could potentially come to. So this has been on the chart for a while. That's 116 to 115. This is where we would really need to hold. Because if we lose this, then we start to lose some, I won't say long term, but you will lose the 50 MA on the daily time frame. And who wants to be up under the 50? Nobody. And let's see if I turn that on. I have to take this away. Actually, I'll do it from the other chart that I have. But I'm really not focused on this anymore. It's all about the support and resistance levels for me at this point. Because, waiting for a breakout of a formation is not the end all be all. Support and resistance is. And whatever that is, these patterns will shapeshift. They will shapeshift. So I'm just going to go back to my two main charts that I like to use here. And I'll do a daily from here instead. Take this away for now. Actually, let me just hide drawings and we can do a clean chart like so. And then we'll take a look at these ribbons here. So where that the red dash line box is at is here, where we have our 50 and our 100 pushing through here. So if we start to lose this, then we could start to roll over. Right now you have an upward slope in 10 and 20, which is good. That's really good. So that means if price, again, those two levels that I had plotted out on the chart, that first line where I said we're in the safe, that's just above this yellow. And then the red one here, actually, I'm so sorry. That would put us under the 200 MA and the 100 MA. So those are converged together here, welded basically. So the 50 is here in red. That'll put us above the 50. And with the posturing of these, we can completely turn up, just like over here, just like over here, and everywhere else you see it at. We can completely turn up and flip back above this this 50 here. So we just have to clear the way here. Safe zone, run zone up top here. And you can see that again. And let me turn that off. And you can see those numbers as well. The moving averages, they'll eventually move, but clearly price action is not going to move. Not price action to the left. So you're good if you use these levels for your blowfin or whatever account that you're trading on, and identify those pivots or the body, candle body. Ethereum. Let's get into this alt situation here. I did, and I know I said that I was a ETH hater. Not necessarily a hater. I'm not an Ethereum hater, but I haven't been very fond of the chart for a while. I did enter into a long position on Ethereum. I posted this on my account yesterday that there was potentially some sort of a falling formation here, something that Ethereum could get a break up from. I wouldn't see it doing any more than back testing, potentially back testing in here. I know we want to get to that 4,000. That's the ultimate goal of 4,000. Again, and we've looked at this repeatedly too on the daily time frames for the alt market. It's frothy. It's frothy. And we knew that when we started seeing all the bearish patterns everywhere. But I try to go with the sentiment. I do. But I did get long off of Ethereum. I actually got long right in here. So last night I woke up. Thank goodness it was back to green because I was down. I went to sleep and I really didn't care. I really didn't care. But I'm not using a lot of leverage. So that's very important. We could still continue this move down here. And you see the next zone in here where I will be looking to see how price action responds within this, say 35 to 33 range. We'll see how price responds in there. If we come into this point. That was a good loan though, previous day low. Very good loan entry to take from the previous day low, which is why I keep saying I'm thinking about doing at least maybe a 7:30 to 8:30 stream just to capture some of those price moves there. XRP. We put XRP on a 4-hour time frame for us here. So there was a golden pocket, 786, and a 50% retracement that I mentioned on stream yesterday and the day before. And what I stated to you was XRP really needs to hold that 50% retracement. If it could not hold that 50% retracement, then it puts it in a predicament where we could see much lower, because that 50 was very critical to price action for XRP. So not a lot of damage has been done over here. Not really any pivots in here until last night. So I entered an XRP position. I closed it out last night before I took a hit, simply because I just realized, what am I doing? There is not a pivot. So you want to have a pivot when you get a massive sell-off and I keep saying massive, but when you get a spillover like that, and it's just candle after candle after candle, and these candles were pretty aggressive. You see how big they are compared to when we were in here. These were pretty aggressive. So you want to see some sort of a pivot. You want to have something to aim for. You're not just going to do a V shape and come back up here and take this out. That's just not going to happen. But it didn't manage to hold that that level, but we did come down into our weekly zone here at 302. So we talked about that as well, that this was potentially, if it didn't hold that the fib, then 302 to 274 would be a target. This is the monthly VWAP. So a great tap off the monthly VWAP. All you gotta do is go to your monthly time frame and just add your anchor VWAP on your monthly candle, your current monthly candle. And so that's what we slapped into here for XRP. We want to be sure that XRP can maintain this VWAP too on that monthly. Solana, previous day low right now, holding. We talk about, I mean, the weekly levels that I have, not bragging on myself, they're good. Those zones are really good. They've held the test of time. When I put them on the chart, they go for years. They can go for years. Only thing I ever have to do is probably add a new one. Potentially have to add a new one every couple of weeks, maybe every couple of months. But those levels really do well. So Ethereum, not quite, but almost hitting that 178 and 177. 170, I'm sorry, 179. 179. Can I count? So that's Ethereum back inside of the rising channel for now. But when we can, we'd be looking for price to get up here to that 207, take out this little pivot here, and then from there, the next target will be 227 for Solana. And to the downside, you know, this 178 to this 164, that has been a return zone. So we could see us coming back down here to the bottom side of the channel as well. I don't really see, yeah. I don't see the suggestion of price going up there right now. So we have to wait on that. I think XRP, at least on the 1 hour. Let me slide this out. I know the 1 hour was the 1 hour has the squeeze, and I did post, you know, a potential a squeeze for XRP, Ethereum, and Solana last night, and that's when we got the small little bounce up, and then we sold that back off really quick. So here on XRP, and I'm going to take these away so I can just discuss that real quick. Let's see. So with XRP, you can trap price, or you can use this regression line here on your RSI for a break to the upside. That's a great way of doing this, is to allow this regression line to break to the upside, show a momentum shift here on XRP. And it also has a nice little regression line here to the low too as well, with 1-2 taps there. And I think we did tap into that last night, and then we got a bounce. We got that candle, so you won't really be able to tell it. Let's see, on the 2 hour, there's also one, and price has been hitting this one. So it's been rejecting here around this regression line on the 2 hour time frame. So you may want to just expand out. Instead of using your 1, use something like your 2 hour instead, to give you some better confirmation. I also did one on the 3. Also did one on the, nope, I didn't do one on the 3. So I must have stopped there. Let me see if I did one on the 4. Yep, so on the 4 hour, there's also another trend regression line. So just on your RSI, you can use your RSI to plot potential support and resistance levels. We used to do that a lot more. I tend to use the QTD now over anything. But let me just turn that back on and continue with my talk. So it's just a lot of gray in here right now. So I'm not sure that we're really over. But Solana 1 hour, and take this away. That was the first SFP here for Sol. Hold on, I'm so sorry. All right, I'll get to Tron. Yeah, so just a lot of gray in here, but this is indicating some sort of, well, you're gonna get another push down now. So another little breakdown first, possibly coming, like I said, we could still come down here and hit this trend line here. Really want to tap into this weekly level. We could also do that because this just, this peaked up. So yeah, potentially another little rejection here until we start to clear up some of this gray because it's too much gray. Bears are very much still in control. I'm going to jump over to Tron right away, and then I can walk my way back up. All right, so Tron. Tron was one of the late ones to break. So when I added Tron yesterday, we had not broke the trend line just yet. This is what I'm looking for Tron. And I kept saying, I don't think Justin Sun is going to give it. And he probably won't. But you have a momentum line here. Reclaim back inside the range. You'll be good. But if you don't, then this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for price to at least come down here to about 29 cents. We haven't really broken structure. Well, yeah, we haven't really broken structure except for the 1 hour. I know that we really broke structures on the 1 hour. But for Tron, you want to see a reclaim back inside, back above this trend line. If you can do that, then you're okay. If you can't do that, then again, I'll be looking for price to come down here to about 29. That is something that could happen today. And if you reclaim your weekly low here, then you're good. So you will start to break a little bit of structure if you do that much. When price did get this little bounce here, it got stopped out at one of the other levels in here. It's a mediocre level for me, which is why it's faded out, but that's 31.82. And to the upside for Tron, I'll be looking for 33.98. Once the altcoin market is back to a position of pushing back up, which that could be a few days before we see that, just depending on Bitcoin and Bitcoin dominance as well. There's really nothing else in here. Yeah. You will change market structure or get a change of character at least on the 4 hour time frame if price comes down to here. But I would keep it on my radar just in case. There is an additional trend line here for Tron. It seems, let me see where this is coming from. Let me just go to a weekly. Okay. Apparently I said that Tron was going to come down here to 22. I hope not. Unless you're looking to accumulate some more. But that would depend on Tron doing this. So Tron has a really nice cup here. I'm not a cup and handle kind of gal. But ooh, this must be based on you breaking. I don't think trying to come back this far. I don't know why I did that. Let me just say I don't think that it will. You do have this trend line here again. If you just plot this from your weekly time frame, can easily come back and bounce off of this. So if I were to extend this out, ugh. Yeah. For now, I would just be looking at this 29 to 27.60. Basically, you do want to see these highs hold as support for price action. So somewhere in between here, around this 29 for Tron. If you start to push over, then I would be looking for price to hold here at this trend line as support and bounce away once again. It is done okay. So it's a year old at this point, which makes it a macro trend line. So as long as you're not losing that, you're in a safe zone. You start to lose that, then I guess you would be looking somewhere down here around 22. In this golden pocket 786. But for now, yeah, just stick to these highs in here, and preferably no more than, well, it doesn't really matter. And that's only if such a sell-off were to happen. Otherwise, could bounce. Let me see if there's anything in here. Yeah, cloud cover on the 4-hour RSI, which means some sort of a continuation is possible. And what was it for the daily? Every daily chart looks like this. Head and shoulder on the RSI. Although price is still in the bullish control zone here. I honestly think Justin's son props up Tron's price. So I don't think that it will roll over that hard. I honestly don't think so. In the kind of market that we're in right now, everybody's just looking to buy. So if you can get it back here to this level here at the 29, then I will look for these highs to hold as support and look for that bounce away. If you do more than that, again, you could do this trend line here and then bounce away again. And that maintains the structure, so you don't have to worry about that here on the daily time frame at least. So overall, I would say Tron is fine. Nice sweep of the previous day low with a little bit of a bounce away, but I would be looking for a lower high. I wouldn't be looking for price to come back up here just yet, not based on the daily time frame. Based on the daily time frame, I would be looking for a lower high because we could start to see a little bit more sell off here on the altcoins. And in fact, let me so we SFP the previous week high. The previous week high around these levels in here. But total does continue to look amazing. Yeah. The pattern for total 2, it is a bearish formation because it's an ascending broadening formation, and those tend to be bearish. If I'd have looked over here earlier and I'd have noticed that we had a red candle when it should be green, then that's the inconsistency that indicates a reversal. That tends to happen when I see that. And so we did it over here as well. Although total 2 is still in the bullish control zone and will remain that way as long as we're above that 1.28 trillion. And let me just look back and see. We may have done something like that somewhere else. Yeah. So you see here again, that red candle. When that happens, that does tend to indicate a reversal. So just be aware of that. Yeah, whenever I see that, because they're supposed to be green. When it's not green, because it's outside of this standard 2, and it turns into a red one, then that's selling pressure. That usually, yeah, that usually works. Usually works. You did it here as well. You did diverge a little bit before getting that. Might have some problems. We might. And this is probably like the one time, but this just broke out. Thank goodness I came over to look at it. Did it right here too. Not that bad. Yeah, so the only place red should be is at the lows and not at the highs. And I paid no attention to it. So it looks like we could have some more selling coming in. I mean, again, the daily time frame on many of the altcoins, it looks that way anyway. And carry on. That. And so you see that green, it tends to work because it's supposed to be red on the bottom, and how it threw in that green, indicating the inconsistency. And then it got that pump there. All right, so this is what we were watching for SUI. We were watching for SUI, and I put these two lines on the chart stating that we would be looking for SUI to come back to these levels here. And so far, we're good. And I said that SUI needs to just hold this monthly. This 1 month, we want to see SUI flip this 1 month into support. It's the first one, looking for the liquidity. Let me take that away. And I did close out my SUI position last night. Not last night, but yesterday I closed out my SUI position. I mentioned this yesterday, but yeah, it's triple. I consider it to be more of a triple top than a head and shoulder. But yeah, nice bounce away. And as long as SUI is holding here, not losing this monthly level, I like for it to come back down and tap it, because I wasn't up for this entry, because I would have taken that. As long as it's holding that monthly at 350, then SUI's okay. SUI loses that, then you know that this was quite a struggle zone for SUI in the past. It's a struggle zone, so want to make sure that we can maintain that monthly level there. SUI have been dropping for a while. But if total 2 is going to sell the market, I mean, if the market is going to sell off before October, because altcoins generally pump in October. So if we're sticking to the cycle, altcoins rally in October. We were getting started a little early, in my opinion, and I kept saying that, but October is when altcoins tend to rally. And that's where Bitcoin tends to sell off. So there's one more chance to get rich. BNB, when looking at BNB yesterday, we had 2 levels to watch. And it was this SD one here from VWAP, which we broke, and then there was this level here, which was a momentum line. And I can't remember which chart I got this from, but there was this momentum line here. So nice little sweep of that liquidity there and a reclaim the body here, this level. So that's BNB. BNB doesn't hold that. Then you have VWAP down here at 723. Now this is a macro VWAP here. So 723, it starts to chop there. Then you have a previous week low down here. Let's see what we got here. Tried to make this easier for myself the other day. Just this is just the 1 hour. Be looking for a lower high. I figured that was going to line up with that. Yep, I would be looking for a lower high for BNB. Let me just assume I'm going to draw it from this line. We can look back at it. Yep, we'll leave it like so. We'll see. I'm looking for a lower high on BNB, but that does measure it to take out this liquidity at the high. So it could potentially do that. Come here for that. Major squeeze in here. This is on the BB%. We'll see. ADA came back into its weekly range here. Reclaim of the previous day low so far. And this was that petty level, weekly level that I wasn't sure about. We didn't hold, but we back tested it and got that rejection. So with ADA, right now it's just a 1 hour change of character. So a lot of these we can be looking for them to come back up and back test the trend line breakdown. But to the downside for ADA on this 4 hour time frame, would like to see it not lose here at that 72. So if we do come in a little bit more, don't necessarily want to start breaking, changing market structure here on the 4 hour time frame. But if that happens and ADA loses this zone, then I would be looking at about 62. Let me see. It's a pretty strong level in here. Even at the lows down here, it's pretty strong. So I would just keep a watch on that 72 and that previous week low for ADA. And that number, because I know this doesn't have it. That's 71, 70, 71, 72 to 71. But the lower side of this range here. Now, how perfect is that? Just looking back at the notes that I did on the 19th where we were talking about ADA and the bearish pattern risk. And everything was holding the 60. All right, and that's also where your 200 EMA is right now as well, here for the 4 hour time frame. So yeah, really want to see ADA hold in here, and that's 72 to 71 cents. If we continue down before this starts to move. And what time frame were we looking at this stuff on? For starters, I must have been looking at a 2 hour. Yeah, I was looking at the 2 hour. So when I started plotting out all these patterns, and I'm glad I saw that notation down there, I was looking at a 2 hour time frame. Starting to lose my voice. So nice bounce off of the 200 here. That makes me want to go back through some of these other ones, but nice bounce off of the 200 EMA here for ADA on the 2-hour time frame. And again, for that 4-hour, it's sitting down here at the 72.71. So we start to lose it here and we don't hold, then I would be looking for that. So there, maybe we do see that bounce up for that lower high, and then we come back down, and we could possibly do that. But right now that's holding, so that's good. H bar. It was the same situation across the board where everything was on the 60. I'm so glad I saw that note. Everything was on the 60, and everything so far has come back into the 200. Let's see. I don't think I added any new notes on this chart. I didn't, and that was the point where we was at the 23. So I haven't updated any images or anything on H bar, but again, 60 on the 2-hour after losing, the 200 on the 2-hour after losing that 60, which was riding along all of the bearish formations. I don't think I did that with hype. I didn't, because hype didn't have that. But one thing hype did have was this little zone in here that I was watching. It's a pretty large zone, but it's from the daily. So everything we need to see is in here, and with the trend line down here. So the weekly level is 40 bucks. This is already lost to 200 EMA here, hype, which I did pick up a little bit of hype, and I sold that as well. Reacting at a 400, starting to slip that previous day low. I'm really looking forward to get down in here to the 40, and that was what we were saying before. The 40, it had an upwards trend line here that it wasn't respecting, so I did delete that one. So everything is here in this zone right here for hype, and if it loses that, then it's not worth the hype. Okay, so down here in the 40s, XLM. XLM, of course, was trading in a range. And that range target remains the same, and that's down here where the golden pocket is located at. But currently getting a reaction from that 200, just like everything else that was riding a 60 EMA. And that's the 2-hour time frame. The 4. The 4, if it's bouncing off of the 200, then it probably wouldn't make it down here to the bottom of the range measured move. And this range came from this 2-day chart here. And this 200 is so far away. So it's okay if we do see XLM again hit that measured move that I'm looking at down here at the golden pocket. You have the neckline break here. So it's already achieved what it needed to achieve in terms of changing market structure here. So even if it does do this, it's a good place to buy in. So hopefully we can see that in the long run. That is something that I will most certainly be looking for. And this would be a spot buy. Because when you have a descending channel, you're usually looking for price to come up and take out that high. And we have this weekly level in here. So I could get with this. I could really get with this. I'm gonna actually drop this to here, and hopefully that 200 is moved. So that would be a nice entry. If we could see that. For XLM, I'm gonna take it off my chart for now though, and we'll just look back at it. Doge, same thing. $60 riding the bearish formation, breakdown into the 200 EMA. Here on the 2-hour time frame. I should have thought about this yesterday when everything was just rolling over, and it never even crossed my mind to look back at it because I failed to put a note in on it except for that Cardano. So then that makes me want to look back at TRX, which is actually, okay, it's back above it, but Tron never had it was never riding a 60 in here. It was riding it on the 4-hour time frame. So yeah, previous week low and potentially that 29. So I can stay with that. Back over here to the 2. So chain link. And why do I have 2 lines in here? I'm sorry, there's an abundance of things going on over here on link. Okay. Okay, so I guess this is what we were looking for on link, was this golden pocket tap. Because we didn't manage to hold the neckline. And the neckline was simply, let me take that away for a sec. And this is the neckline here. Could have dropped it down here on the body, which would basically line up with that golden pocket. But aside from that, link should be okay. Yeah, because link just got started with this expansion here, even though it got that sell signal. Yeah. It just got started with this expansion out of the Bollinger Band break. And it's still above standard deviation 1, so it's still in the bullish control zone. So as long as it's above that 1636, all things are great with link, and I will continue to look for this to expand higher for link. And that was just to get in right here, that little sell-off. That's how we'll have to view that, as another opportunity as it has done really well whenever it did get in a Bollinger Squeeze. So this is nothing in my opinion, not at the moment. Yeah, just a back test of the neckline basically. And I'm gonna move this, and I'll know that it wasn't where I originally had it at. You'll know that. So turn this off. What was that number again? 1636. Something like that. 1636. 2 hour. So basically not doing any more than this golden pocket 786, and we can just run with that instead. And so yeah, the neckline is just simply the golden pocket. Tap. And this is the macro line right here. So that's why I have this here. But let me take one of these away. Yeah, so this is just a larger channel. Must have come from like the weekly time frame or something like that. I think link is good. And I just be looking for this to continue. This might be one I needed to buy. All right, let's see. Virtual. That's the macro VWAP down here, 148.33 for virtual. Virtual doesn't have many levels. Again, it's pretty simple with virtuals. That was the point of control here, which it didn't hold, and then the value area low down here in the green. And I don't think that there was... Yeah. As long as it's holding here, then virtuals, I wouldn't expect for it to go back down, because the only other level virtuals has is going to be... I may not have it on. Oh, it's on. Let me move up 4. Oof. Yeah. Virtual's only other level is going to be down here between $44 and $20. So there's really only these 3 levels for virtual, because that's all it's done. It's either run up here or come down here or go here to this midpoint right here. And everything else you're seeing in here, I had to do from a daily time frame, and this is all we've been ranging in between. So not a lot for virtual. If it loses here, then I would just have to say we'll come back down to like 44 to 20. Maybe it stops out. Maybe it holds these highs. If anything, it does that and holds those highs. If it did get a big sell-off. And that would go on those lows. I don't know how likely something like that is to happen. But it doesn't have much to work with. But it's holding this VWAP for now. And I guess I did draw that off of that low there. RSI looks crappy. It's one of few right now. So it would get started before many of the other altcoins in terms of resetting, because it's already close to entering into the bearish control zone here. I mean, it's in neutral right now as it's, holding above this VWAP, but it loses that, then, it very well could come back down into here. It's a good project nonetheless, just struggling a bit. I don't really care about this, so I'm going to take that away. Bitcoin with a little bit of a rejection right now. Theta, this is a that's just a weekly VWAP there. Theta into the golden pocket 786, something that we were looking for. And let me just slap this right here back on. All right. Theta had not even broken down yesterday. Hadn't broken below the trend line here just yet. So attempting to hold golden pocket. All right, so golden pocket 786, and that's the tap out zone for Theta. If it does anything more than that and you're losing your 200 on your 4-hour time frame, you're likely to start breaking market structure here on the 4-hour as well. And right now you're doing okay, even with the double top. This white line is simply a 1,000. So you could look for it to come a little bit lower. Into this golden pocket 786. And again, if it's doing anything more than that, then chances are it could come back down here to these highs in here. in this level, 72 to 66. Injective is exactly as we were looking at it, or had been looking at it for the past few days, that if it did come down, then I'd want to see it hold the range that I got the break from. And so far it's doing okay with that weekly high at 13, and then this range here, 13.16. So we were saying $13 even is what we were calling. Did a little bit more than that, but as long as it reclaimed. So it's reclaiming and holding so far. Golden pocket 786. See, because the measured move, and I don't know if I left that out here or not. So not organized. I think that's good. I'm not sure. Anyway, it's in the zone. If it doesn't hold here at these highs, then we just start to change market structure here on the 4-hour time frame, potentially taking the liquidity down here from this low of this range here, and then going putting in a lower high and a continuation down. Has another trend line in here also, but overall I think injective 4-hour. Cooling phase coming in. Yeah, be looking forward to back test these highs. Take the liquidity here at this range low again, previous week low is, and then get a bounce up. Injective did not manage to close above that pivot there, so that is a problem. There were altcoins that did, and then there were a few that didn't, and injective is one that didn't manage to close above there, so can be looking for that to come down. Again, sweep that liquidity, hold the highs in here. If you're doing that, you're pretty good. This would be spot.
Is it still running? Huh? Yeah.
And this again can be going into October.
Yeah, why is that?
Let me move that over. So if you get that, then you should be good. I wouldn't be looking for it to come down here and take out this low again. Be looking for it to bounce away at least from taking that liquidity in this zone and then bouncing away. It doesn't change anything on the weekly time frame whatsoever. It'll just be a good entry. That's 1144. Let's see if we can get that on INJ.
Oh, so whatever issue the Q18 had was probably due to the job kept running. Yeah.
Yeah, because naturally you'd be looking for it to return to these lows. So yeah, I maintain that feeling.
Yeah, because all the count shows 260,000 equal one, so it actually updated.
So OP did come into the golden pocket 786 as well. And let's see. This must be standard deviation 1. Yeah. So standard deviation 1. A little bit of a rejection after dropping below that.
I don't either. Maybe it's the way the
Just looking at some levels in here
schedule we were setting at. Maybe I don't
as
know.
well.
That's why I was going to ask you. I said, hey, when this thing done, I just want to remove this trigger because I don't want to have anything once the job's done.
You see where this is coming from.
I was going to log while in sleep, but it was showing at 190,000. So I was like, oh, let's just do it. So that's why I set that. So, but it's showing 280 message count on the zoo log. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let it sit, right, for a few hours, and then.
Yeah, so these were coming from the daily time frame. So I should probably label that at least so I won't be questioning why I have it there.
So I said, okay, I'm going to stop these for my clients because I can do this in the daytime since it's only around average 40, 50,000 each.
And let me see if this was coming from there as well. I can tell if I do this. No, it wasn't. It must have come from. It may have just been based on the highs in this case.
And right now, it's showing 280,000. So that's what I'm saying. I have 5 clients left, which is average round.
I apparently didn't put any bearish patterns on this one.
So I can just do it. I'll buy the lead for office.
But yeah, wanted to hold here. It didn't hold this one, but this could come back and yeah, currently act as resistance. Oh boy. But nice reclaim of the previous day low if it can hold it, but if not, then this daily level here where we have this previous week low for optimism. And of course, if we're losing that, then 53 all over again. So it's going to be OP. Let me look at near because near is the one that I'm in. All right, so near is holding here. That's pretty good. And this is also a previous day level here. And I'll mark this out looking at these highs here. Let me look at this from a daily. See why I was looking at it. I need to highlight this. Let me see if I was just looking at a high or if this was actually a level of interest for me. And I may have just been looking at a high. Yeah. Let's put a P on that, knowing that it was just a pivot. So we lose that, then I'll be looking for price to come down here to 47 for near. I would take this liquidity before coming back up, potentially putting in a lower high. Right now I'm chopping about, is this 2 or 1? 1. So standard deviation 1. I can do away with this. And this, since I'm not trying to keep up with that anymore. All right, so this is, yeah, we looked at this. I was really hoping that near would be able to hold this as support here off of this weekly time frame, because it's failed it 1-2 times already. Let me just see if this is making sense. Sorta, kinda. So let's just put a pin on this. Let me see what that is back here. Nothing. Well, you know what? What's better? Let me see what that looks like if I do it. I don't want it to run on forever. A, B, C, D, E at the top. Rejection. Yeah. So we do want to see near just be able to flip this area right here. That would be great. Nothing so far. But that's a pretty clean rejection level there. For near, let's see, it completely slipped back into that weekly level. It's not much here, but I'm just gonna do that. Let's see if we can at least hold that. I like it. And let me address that line situation. If we come back into here, it could be a good place to pick up. I would tell you spot. May be able to do leverage on that. So I just want to check on my Ethereum trade real quick. So we just lost the standard deviation. 1 Bollinger Band retracement. And let me check my near position to see if I will be adding or closing on this. All right. And I actually entered off of this pivot here, giving back all of the gains that I made. And I did take this on low leverage. And let me just set my stop loss to break even. Oh no, you will not do that to me. Okay. All right, so I just changed my position to just break even, and just, you know, if it comes back down here, then I'll look at it again. Maybe we do a SFP of my entry level here. I just don't want to chance it right now. And then we continue to roll over and potentially end up doing this. I think I will pick up spot this time for near. See if there was anything in here of interest. Okay, so below the 200 here on the 2 hour. It's a little bit more bearish. Anything that didn't get that cross above the pivot is a bit more bearish than everything that did. But these could be the better opportunities. These would be the ones that are going to run right behind Ethereum. Every now and then the 400 will work very well. But I don't think market makers are doing all this not to take some liquidity. So I would look for some liquidity to be taken. And once that happens, then a re-entry would be fine. So I'll be looking at this daily level to see how we react, and this daily momentum previous week low here to see how we react. And if we look like we're going to continue rolling over, because we will be below the 200. We are below the 200 already here on the 2 hour time frame. Let me see 4. Okay, so we just be coming into the 200 here on the 4 hour time frame. So yeah, if we just break this, pierce it, and get a nice reaction, I will reconsider my entry here. We reject it at the 200 on the daily. I don't think there's anything else I need to do. Maybe Undo, and yeah, Undo, recall we were looking at this and it got the break to the upside on this. I deleted all of these levels in here as retracements, but just in case. But I did advise not to consider taking any sort of a short position on Undo in the event that, you know, you get blindsided by actually breaking out of the top side of this ascending wedge, which it did do so. And all right, so a back test here, and we talked about this current level of weekly resistance, flipping this into support, which is where it got the bounce from. But if it starts to lose that, then just like everything else, I would be looking forward to come into this, either this weekly level or come into its weekly range. So that's 82 cents. And I did not catch that, which is take these away now. Don't need those anymore. Slide this over. Haven't been back on this chart. This is the daily level rejection there. And this is what we were looking for price to actually come up to. Golden pocket is right here, but this weekly level in here, so golden pocket 786 is that little white box you're seeing there. And let's see on the 4-hour time frame. Again, we lose this level here, which was previous resistance for Undo. If we lose that, then I would be looking for this liquidity here at this low. We have this previous week low here as an opportune place for a reversal back to the upside. Otherwise, I'll be looking at this 82.67 to about 79, which is a hiccup zone for Undo. And to the upside, you already know we're looking for that golden pocket 786. And let me do Aptos, and then that's Jeez Louise. I was mentioning something about, let me see, what did I have on Aptos? 1-hour time frame. 1 hour had an ascending channel. Let's see, I entered a long position from those on anyone else who joined me on the live stream. So I did do a long position on it. I closed it out at some point. And again, I was saying keep in mind about price going back into that channel as an area of resistance. So we did the weekly level, and here we have not hit the profit level. Okay, let me look at the weekly. Okay, so we have not broken out of our range whatsoever. So we are still within our range here for Aptos. Only thing I can say to this, and this is from a 3-month, I believe. Yeah, it's from a 3-month. And that's the channel here. So only thing I can say to this is we do want to be able to hold this range low. I don't want to start going inverted head and shoulder just yet on it because we haven't actually changed any structure whatsoever so far. It looks a lot like near at this point. Let me see if I can delete that. Yeah, I can delete that. Golden pocket 786. Weekly level here at 429. And if we're not holding that 429, then we could be coming back down here at this low. But if we could hold here, then that would be great. I thought maybe this would have been better support, this weekly level in here, but we're already underneath that. So the next is, the next place is 429. And if 429 isn't working, then it's all the way back here to the low, around 367. 367 to 307, but let's say 367. Maybe it sweeps the liquidity from this low of this. That would be terrible, really, for Aptos if that was to happen. I mean, this is a 3-month range for price action. So yeah, I would have to say this is an underachiever. I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to do this instead. I mean, VWAP is to the downside right now. To the downside right there too. It didn't matter. At least near did break above that band 1, as Aptos is not. So yeah, I just want to see a change of structure in here for Aptos. I would say once that happened, I would potentially consider looking back at it. Otherwise, I'd wait for an accumulation zone to be hit. I was thinking that this was going to hold. This right now is not doing as good as I would like for it to do, but we reclaim inside of this, or maybe back above that previous weekly level, then I will most certainly get interested in Aptos. Just in case this doesn't show up over here when I do it. And it does. It's not even above the previous day low, which we could do that instead. No, it's saying this. Want to reclaim that. And then this was our channel with the warning. Why is that on there? It was doing all kinds of stuff across the top side of this channel anyway. I'm keeping it organic. I just wanted to extend it up a little bit. If anybody was looking at this as an inverse head and shoulder, it would get invalidated if price does come into that 429. So right now it's still good unless we start to continue down here for Aptos. In its current state, it's setting up for an acceleration of selling pressure. Do have some bull divvies down here right now on this daily time frame. So we come back up and we do that, then I will be looking for a position on Aptos. I'm not going to buy it down here. It's too risky, but I will look back at it at 478 I think that that's a fair place to want to reconsider. And again, potentially around the low. Think about it. Let me get back over here to Bitcoin. See this 2 hour again. Hmm. Sellers are really doing their part in here. You see all these little momentum lines popping out here on Ethereum. That's not good. And again, if you weren't here, we just want to continue to hold that Bollinger. It's just going sideways. And that's basically what we've been doing. Just in here sideways. Just trying to see about how much we're dropping below it. It's 42. 70. Hopefully we don't come back down to it again. If we do, a break and reclaim would be a nice long entry. So break and reclaim. Especially into a 4-hour candle closure and open, or say 4-hour candle open. If you do that on a 4-hour candle open, break and reclaim, it's a good little scalp to take on Bitcoin. I don't think I had anything like that over here for Ethereum, but I will just check it just to be sure. I only have an expansion on Ethereum. Yeah. I would sit on my hands with XLM. I'm just looking back at it. I would sit on my hands with this one for now. And this 15-minute, I do believe is still hitting that 200. Slightly. Not so much. VWAP is there too. I'm going to do away with this now. It wasn't the best channel anyway. We have some data today we could be waiting on. I think it's flash manufacturing, if I'm correct. Let me just double check. No, today we have unemployment claims. And that's going to be at 8:30, so I would expect some volatility from that. And you can see, let me just refresh. I haven't refreshed it. All right. It's all about liquidity. So when everybody starts piling in, looking to fill these short orders, market makers drive the price up to take that liquidity. So I hate to start seeing a lot of longs piling in at this point, because this could be the driver to push prices down. We look over here, everybody's piling in long. Market makers just keep flushing it out, taking that liquidity, taking it until a bunch of shorts want to come in. And then they run it up. And it's just been pretty consistent like that. A whole bunch of shorts, short orders, and they just take that liquidity. And we did put in a bear div on this. So we were building the divergence yesterday, and I'm sounding more and more southern this morning, which I am southern. We put in a little bear div here. A little exaggerated bullish divergence. The worst time frame again has been that 3 hour. We looked at this 3 hour yesterday, and I said it looks like complete trash. Because this was rising. But I still can't see myself wanting to short. And just should have shorted. So it still looks like garbage, but it did flatten out. So that's a plus. But it just continues to put in, this one wasn't a bear div here. But that's what it does when that happens. So I don't like that. I love these wicks on the lows as we continue to defend this zone down here. That's where it gets bearish below here. Mm. I was so knocked out. I didn't get a chance to get in on this move, but it took long enough for it to happen. Just again waiting on those equals down here. So originally yesterday we had it set for a 10 off of these highs, and then I moved it, and I thought that maybe price was gonna wrong thing. I just did that, right? Why did I do that? But you know what? It made sense. It was an accident. Let me see what's happening with that. It was a pure accident. I was trying to reach for that other thing. It's probably nothing. I was trying to reach for this. Yeah, so I was saying I originally had this set for just a 10 off of the low, which would have put us in, yeah, at 17,392. And then yesterday I was like, I'm gonna move it. That was such a sniper entry too. If you've never done that before, I do this every time for the liquidity grab. I usually just wherever I think the low of the liquidity is that they're gonna come for, I usually just take that little tool right there, that price range, and I add some extra to it. I usually do the 10. Yesterday I felt like doing a 20, so I dropped it down to here. And then when the price came and it didn't tap it, I was like, oh shit. But then when I caught these equals down here, it was just these two right here. And then I was like, okay, we're really defending the zone, defending the zone. And then finally it tapped it. But I do usually do a 10. Versus the SFP. SFP is fine, but I'd rather have some room, some deviation from the SFP for the entry. So if I had done this one, that's the low right there. It's not much of a difference here. It could have still been a good entry. But I couldn't move it because I posted it. I'm just looking back at the Bollinger Band on a 4-hour time frame for the altcoins. That Bitcoin dominance was the telltale. It was definitely the telltale because it hit support. And it's still inside that channel. And until we lose that, which I don't think that we ever, well, we'll lose the channel at some point, but Bitcoin dominance will continue to rise because the whole crypto space is surrounded by, I mean, Bitcoin. It's all about Bitcoin. It's the main driver for any of the laws they're attempting to pass, the adoption, companies adding it to their balance sheet. It's all about Bitcoin. And there'll be some altcoins here and there, but yeah, it's all about Biddy. Which currently, I mean, we can break it, and it looks like we will. But currently, it's in that standard deviation 1 and 2 here. So, and if we come out, yeah, we just end up back here. Possibly even a little higher if we come out. But that is offering altcoins a little bit of relief right now, just hitting that S1, SD1 there. And you look at that 4-hour. With that expansion. So we want to see those 4-hour time frames change. So I would just be monitoring the 4-hour. That's going to be the biggest thing because I could see that from the total 2 and total 3 as well. It's the 4-hour that gave the expansion. So you look at total 2, you can see we're in the Bollinger Squeeze, and this is where we got that expansion off that 4-hour time frame. Same thing for 3. You got the expansion from there, the 4-hour. So watch that 4-hour. And everything that looks like this, like XRP, unless yeah. If they're breaking above that, then they may be able to get in a little bit higher, because that is exactly what XRP looks like. This 4-hour for total 3 and 2, basically. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Remember last time it was Solana that mimicked the total market cap, excluding BTC. It was Solana. And so when you look at XRP, that's exactly what it looks like. Total market cap, excluding Bitcoin. So XRP is the biggest driver this time for the market. Because again, it looked exactly like Solana the last time. The last time we got the nice pump, it was Solana. And I don't think anything else really looks like that. Yeah, ETH doesn't look like that per se. It doesn't. Sol doesn't look like that this time. But these 4 hours, I would watch them. Sui does. No, BNB doesn't. It doesn't. ADA does. HBAR does. that just doesn't. Stellar. So this all looks like total, but XRP is the closest I see to it. TRX doesn't. Link does. So everything that looks like total, I would just be watching that total. So we kept having trouble in here yesterday too. This VWAP really isn't doing anything, so I'm just gonna take that away because we're just chopping it. since we're not closing below here. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and move forward with the stock market really quickly here. It's not gonna be too much to cover because it is pre-market. So Experian Energy Corporation pre-market $98. It has just been slipping. We are now down here in another level. I'm still holding. I am down on this, but this is an investment for me. So may the force be with me. I don't want to continue to hold something that's not going to get the performance, but I like this one. So I did not add any in here, which I said I was going to do if we got into this level here that I would add. I have not added just yet. That's still on the table for me if I'm going to add to it or if I'm just going to sit in my loss. Pre-market Tempest was doing really good yesterday, and I didn't cover these yesterday, so I did post on a few of these. Tempest was one that I actually posted on yesterday on my account on X, and we came relatively close in here. I don't actually know what we did post-market after hours, if we even tapped into this or not. I just know that these were some of the levels that I was watching. I'm still holding here with Tempest. I don't think that there's anything special in the news. Okay. So a little something there from the FDA. It probably helped boost the price yesterday. Nonetheless, I'm holding. It's doing good right now. We were chopping this level down here. That was a critical level to hold for eventually regaining it. And that little move there. Palantir, no secret. Been trading within this rising formation here for a little bit here. I was looking for a move potentially back into here. We'll see if we get it right now after that little rejection there and that little spill off with the VIX, which I still think the VIX is going to pop. It's back up here. They're looking for it to come back up here, I suppose. And if it breaks out this time, then, you know, it's known to do so out of bearish formations. Otherwise, they're looking for a breakdown. And again, to see if we come back down here to the low of this range, this rising wedge range. Send price discovery, so I don't have any price points up there other than the trend line. Sound is basically the same situation. Looking for more of a pullback on sound. I think over here on the, wasn't the weekly. Did I put anything here on the daily notes? I didn't. So sound, nice gap fill there, but I'm looking for sound to get up here to 20 bucks. We'll see if we can do it. I totally missed that gap. I totally missed it. I like to sit here and lie and say I saw it, but I don't catch everything. But I missed that gap. But again, I'm still holding sound, looking for it to get to 20 bucks. So a little rejection there from that gap. Coinbase, $3.99. So it does look like it's back inside of this bearish formation, which it does this pattern all the time because you know the broader one is the same pattern. So we got that second, I wouldn't necessarily call it a tap because we did take whatever liquidity was at this top line here before getting the rejection back inside. So I'm still looking for Coinbase to come down, but I don't know. We could be there. We could be there. That's the December. November. March. There's nothing consistent for me to look at here. Nothing at all. Other than the fact that I'm looking for, do I have levels? I know I have levels in here somewhere. And I do. I'm going to hold my breath for 287. See if we can hold those highs. 287, 263. That would be nice. What do I have on daily? Not much of a difference. Let me slide these out. Now, I am still waiting for that 4-day delta to flip down, which is in the process of doing. Again, it's been pretty consistent. Was saying a reversal would come in for coin. It did really good here and here, and this little pivot, and that one and that one. So the 4-day is my guidance here for Coinbase, and I'm just looking to add to my Coinbase position. So again, if I could get it somewhere in here, that would be great. When I picked up here. Now, if it wants to revisit this line, I wouldn't be mad at it. I don't know if coin would do that, but I'm waiting. I'm waiting to pick up some more. A little bit of a positive cross there. I just noticed that on the delta right now, but it doesn't mean it can't lead into some sort of a bear divvy as it did right here. Put in a little bit of a bear div. Looked like it might have been a slight one here as well. Leading into that drawdown there, here. So again, just looking to add on that one. AMD, when it got that sell-off, just back here into this rising channel here. Looking for a $300 AMD. But for now, we're just trying to move into this zone here. And I'd be looking for that 169. If we can do it. I think on the, let me look back over here at the daily. It's nothing good here on the daily for me. See the week. Still the same situation here on the weekly with the bearish rise here. But again, a lot of the market looks that way. The weekly is pretty good at capping on it. So be looking for that here. Everything lined up pretty good all across that point. Cloud cover here on the RSI there, down to there. And then we'll see how this goes. Right now it looks fine. Like we can continue to push a little bit. Maybe just keep bing bonging in between this rising channel for a minute. Not really any coverage or posture here just yet, but yeah, maybe we just continue to bing bong in here. And if we can get to here, then maybe I'll get a chance to add more AMD. So that's all I'm really looking for AMD right now. And that is a cloud cover there. We'll see. TTD, this has probably been like the best performer since we started watching these charts, and that was just, you know, the breakup from here, and it's just been blue skies for TTD ever since that day on live where, you know, jumped in on the breakout here, and then of course some good news came in and she just sort of ripped. And we know that the first target is the 88, of course. That's what I kept calling for, the 88. And then I'm looking for 104 after that. And then if we can keep pushing, I think, let me see. Did I note? I didn't note. So I can't remember what that long-term trajectory is, but 88 to 104. Those are my two targets on that. TTD pre-market looked pretty good. Remember, I bought Pony. I sure did. I'm doing all right on this Pony position. I never thought Pony was going to be able to get out of this zone here, away from, what's it, the point of control it kept hitting. I think that's what it kept hitting, the point of control. And right now, there's this little level in here. I just leave it like this, but it's a weekly level of resistance. But I didn't have anything to really connect it to. And so that's what we're tapping in here right now. And Pony basically, and these are levels in here as well. But yeah, the point of control was in here, and Pony was having a really, really hard time getting through this level. And then the second area of largest volume is sitting right here. But Pony is basically, if not at this low down here, then it's here. But I dashed both of these out because there really isn't a lot of volume below and above those levels, or at this level and at this one. So we're coming into a key zone right here if we do manage to push up. And then have to see how price action responds in here, because there's a lot of resistance in here, and that's 1621 to 1757. And I think Pony is a really good investment for the long haul. Like the long haul, like you really have to hold this one. But it's a nice round bottom there. Tesla had earnings early in the morning or something. So Tesla most certainly got this drop. Tesla got this drop. I still think Tesla looks good. Pre-market 312. I still think it looks good. I don't know what happened yesterday with the numbers. I hear he's getting back into some politics again, so he needs to stop doing that. But then again, we all voice our opinions. Just not in the workplace, right? This has been a good zone for Tesla. This 306 here. And then at the low is 281. I need to add those numbers in here. Let me see if I had any additional, if I did it any other way and did not. I did not. So currently already this morning hitting this underlying resistance right here. But I still think that it looks good. Let me go over here to the daily, which I have liked quite a bit. And I continue to like the daily time frame. I don't care. I don't have Tesla. I'm not looking to purchase Tesla, at these prices. I actually sold Tesla and I used my profits from Tesla and I put it into Nvidia. That was a long time ago. A long time ago when I did that. So um I still like it. And I maintain that feeling. And I've been saying that for the past few weeks. When I notice this right here happening, this drop, it's like it daily just looks good to me. And that's just how I feel about it. So we'll see what it does, but I like it. I'm not buying. I won't buy at these prices. But I just watch it because of the hate. I watch Tesla and Apple for the same reason because I'm not going to buy Apple either. But I watch them for the hate. So Apple, after getting this break out of this little triangle right here, just kind of stalled out. And it looks like it's probably doing another one. So we'll just go ahead and draw a line on this one. And when I say we, you're in this with me. We're in this together. My feelings remain the same. Apple to 221 to 231. And that's the top side of the range right there, 225. But that is what I believe. I might have something larger happening in here. Let me see if I body this. Body to body. Doesn't look like it hit. I'm not doing that to Apple. Apple to 221 to 231. I think Apple got it in it. It does. Despite the whole, they're not being innovative. They're still the hottest product on the market right now in terms of cellular and I want to say computers, but cellular, hands down, it's still the top seller. Regardless of whatever innovation everybody feels like they're not getting right now, which I don't use Apple. I find it very complicating. so I don't use it. All right, Robinhood. I'm still waiting on that dip. Robinhood. I still want to see a 93 hood. Am I asking for too much? I don't think I am, but I would like to see that. I have levels in here though. Oh, and apparently got all the way down there. So nothing new. I have to recheck the market. I'll do that later to see if there's anything new to come in. I'm pretty sure we have gotten a new daily level. Undoubtedly, gotten a new daily level. I can get rid of this. No, I just know what I like it. I like to look at the chart and feel like I did something. So I'm still looking for Hood to get down here to about 93.60. I would like to buy in, and I think that that's a pretty decent place to get in at. Back down here. Is there anything in here? It's a nice little gap right there though. Now I'll be looking for gaps because I missed that last one. Just checking back on Bitcoin, make sure we're in the same. Yep, we're the same. We're the same. All right. So yeah, that's Hood. Otherwise it just continues up and away. But the weekly time frame is the thing for me with Hood. Okay. So what was I saying here? 26 EMA on the 4-hour respected, and also the 26 EMA on the weekly respected. And price has not touched the 26 EMA since May 6th. All right. So let's take a look at that, which is why I have to do notes. Because if I don't know why. I can have all the reasoning in the world in the beginning, but if I don't put a single note in here, I don't know why I did something. Where are you at? And see, it finally touched it. How about that? Because it hadn't touched it. Hadn't touched it. And I said it hadn't touched it since back here in May. That was the last time it touched this 26, and it touched it. So yeah. Dang it. My dreams could still come true, especially with that touch, because it's a change of behavior, which is what I like to look at for moving averages. Just change of behavior. You do something you weren't doing before, then my little spider senses kick in. So that's the first tap into that 26, and see if we can get the rollover. What was it before? What was it before? I'm trying to think. It may have been a 2-tap system on the 26, because you can see how when it does come into the 26, it does tend to get a larger correction. And I think that was something that I was looking at with it as well. I didn't put the note in here apparently. I didn't write anything there, just on that chart. Let's take a look at the weekly. Which could be a nice retracement zone. I'm not saying it's going to come all the way back down here. I can't say that, but that would be nice. 65. And that was the daily. That was one of the daily levels in here. And it's relatively one of the weekly levels. But I can't say that it's going to come all the way back down to here to even play around with this 26 here on the weekly. But it did tap it on the 4. And with that in mind, I'll be looking for, um, let me see. That's good enough. So I'm gonna change this. Maybe it shouldn't read that. Maybe it should read 10 instead. It seems to respect the 10 on the weekly. And that's just sort of riding the 5, which is okay with where I'm looking for price to come back to. So 93.60 remains on the table for me for hood. If I can get in there, that would be great. If we can get the pull back to there. Oh, I know what I forgot to look at with you. It was this. So this is definitely suggesting that cool off, and I've been saying that for a little bit here now. Actually ever since, yeah. I think I started saying it over here before this breakout happened, but this is definitely starting to get tight in here. It can continue to hold in here and chop, chop, chop like it did over here. It can continue to do that. Right now, it hasn't even dismantled itself from that red line just yet, even though it is crossing through that signal line there, that orange one. But this is, yeah, this is it. And so you see it can go on, it can continue even if it does give a little bit of a pullback, which that was probably a pretty large pullback there and in here. So this is what I'm watching on this weekly. I think it's time. It's time. So 93, and if it wants to give me 60, I'll be happy with it. But that was the first tap into that 26 on that 4-hour time frame. So I'm expecting for us to correct a little bit more here for hood, Hollywood. Circle. It's holding. Even pre-market 199.67 is still holding above this low trend line right here. And of course the value area, it strongly respected that. Got the nice push up here into the next zones here at 252. Didn't quite hit that 272, but pretty good volume in here. The more we start to develop, then I can start to put other levels on here. But for now, this is what it is for circle. And then of course your occasional patterns looks a lot like Coinbase, in my opinion. Coinbase 1 hour looks exactly the same way. They're still very tied to the crypto space. So crypto or Bitcoin starts to tumble, circle and coin are going to start tumbling too. Or if coin and circle starts to tumble, then maybe Bitcoin. Whatever order they want to go in is fine with me. But all three of them are experiencing the crypto effect. CNC, after hitting the low of the range here, did finally get a bounce, and that's nice. That is nice because it has been struggling. Let me just up and zoom this. Nice little regression line there as well. It's a good buy for anybody who did get in. It's something that I'm interested in, but I told myself at the moment to just chill. Could see the selling pressure was indicating some sort of a cool off, but it was just so much gray through here that it just wasn't worth touching. It was just too much gray in here. And every now and then you got a little bit of dark green in here, hinting at maybe some sort of a potential correction. But it was just so much gray. It was just, don't touch it. And then these bars started to pick up in here with the green. And now you're getting what seems to be like some sort of a selling indication. You just have to see how that, how that flows. But I like the way the delta was holding here at the 0 line. So that's really, really good. And started putting in some bullish divergence here off of the RSI. So big ups to anybody who did pick up on CNC. It's a great company. So a good buy, but a scary position to hold at the moment. While we wait on things to change. So with CNC, I mean, we all want to see this gap get filled. So if you got down here, you make a nice little lint here, back up to around 57. See if you can get back to the scene of the crime. But a great company. So Wells Fargo is saying that they're looking for a $30 price target over 72, which again, I'm gonna lean towards 57. I think this company is gonna come all the way back. I mean, yeah, they're gonna come all the way back. It's my opinion. How do you keep a good company down? So Rivian's still here within this range. One just means that the most volume is traded within this zone right here, with the point of control also being here. Of course, it is within this pattern formation here. So if it can get away from the from this zone, it's really in between 3 and 2. At the end of the day, I'd be looking for us to at least get up here to 4, bypassing this zone right here. It's a little bit of volume in here, not very much, which is why it's dashed out. But I think the last time I looked at this, if it does get, like, we attempted some sort of a breakout in here, you can say. But let me see. Where did I do this from? I did it from a weekly. So I did it from the line chart. So no, we haven't attempted any sort of a breakout. Forgive me. We have not. So I have this set to a line chart. Looking for a closure above on a weekly closing basis. So if we get a weekly candle to close outside of here, then that'll be a change of behavior for Rivian. Now I could have said the same thing if I'd had this line drawn over here off of this point, that was a change of behavior. And that can very well still be true because it's not coming as low as it did previously. So before it was coming all the way back down into here, and we haven't done that since, even with the argument that this was my change of behavior, which it wasn't because I didn't look at it then. But I'm just saying with that argument alone, that's a change of behavior. And then not coming back down here to these lows and turning around midpoint, we can see that breakout. And I am looking for price to come up to here. And that's 22 to 25. This was the biggest change right here for it. Just really being in this falling wedge pattern, finally moving out of the falling wedge pattern, but then starting a new pattern, which could be leading. This could be a leading diagonal, and we go up. So We'll see. See if there's anything to be said around here. I'm not sure how old this article is here, but I still say that this has a strong chance. I wanted to pick up down here, so I'm not actually in this. I'm not in any of the positions that are below this section. But I did want to pick up on this trend line in this accumulation zone here. It hasn't done that yet. And once we can get above this momentum line here, I think that it would break out and hit this 4. So unless it meets my entry criteria, then I'm not in on this one. But it is one that I was interested in getting into nonetheless. I don't think that there was anything special happening in here, and there wasn't. A little bit of a potential flag in here with pre-market 1384. So potentially a little flag in here. I don't really have a bottom, so all I can do is, I don't really have a top either. Yeah, I'm not going to do that with this one. It's not clean enough. Just let it be. It's already down pre-market anyway. Just, let's see, NVIDIA. Nice recovery following that. Gap fill. And off to the races. Just doesn't seem to be any stopping that one. I don't need to do that again. Amazon. I haven't looked back at Amazon. I don't know if I still have my levels in here for Amazon or not. And apparently I don't. So I'm going to have to wait to look back at those. But anyway, Bitcoin. Just this noose here. Of course, we just looked at this and added this line because of recognizing that it's had a little bit of struggles in here before. Volume is still low. All right, 29 minutes, we will get the unemployment claims. It's nothing to do but wait. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything in here, and I didn't, so we're good there. We are still holding, you see here, we didn't actually get a closure below this line this time. This is what we just did, looking at the 4-hour time frame, identifying where candles had been failing to close below this line here on the 4-hour, and only on the 4-hour where they fell into close below here. So now the 1-hour, yeah, just failed to do a closure below at that time. So that's good. That's good. Okay. I'm going to eat my breakfast. Babe, will you reheat my coffee for me? Will you reheat my coffee? Yeah, I mean, 1 hour is looking pretty good right here, right now for Biddy. And let me get back over here on my alt. I need to go back here to the 1 hour. Look back at my Ethereum position. It's just looking pretty good right now. I wish I had caught that extra dip last night to add to that position for Ethereum. But I'm going to take my stuff out of view because my breakfast has been sitting here since I started streaming, and it's 3 hours cold now. So my face will be back. I'm sorry. Give me just a minute. No kneeling, and I'll check that KNC for you. Okay. Just trying to see. Kyber. I used to love Kyber. The Coin King just said you're a real OG for Kyber Network. See, I'm not going to shoot all the way for the very top in terms of my levels. I'm just going to do what's in sight right now. Okay. Some sort of a quick move on Bitcoin there with that alarm going off. No, I haven't moved the car.
It's in the car.
Oh, I'm sorry, love. Here.
Yeah, car police can open it.
right, I think I got it. And what exactly is it that you wanted to know about Kyber Network? Because it is, I mean, obviously it's bullish. You see this nice daily pop over here up to 78 cents right off of the accumulation lows down here. This is still corrective at the moment. This here is still corrective. I looked at the weekly time frame. It looks good. I like it. It looks good. Used to really, really be into Kyber Network. You know, despite that nasty wick there with that rejection, you still did close above this neckline here, which can't say that for all altcoins. I think it looks absolutely good. Um, could you fill in a little bit more of this gap in here? You can, because again, it was from the daily time frame. It did look like you were still correcting over here on the daily, but let me take a look at your EMAs here. Yeah, so you're bouncing somewhere down here around where we have this 200 at on the daily. You do want to hold that. So right now that's at 39. So if you can hold this range here, if you can hold that weekly range there, you've already swept the previous day low and the previous week low and recovered. But you do want to hold in here. So you tap that 60 perfectly there. I think that's your 60. Let me just double check. Nope, that must be a 26. Yeah. So you smacked that 26 perfectly. I didn't see anything off the weekly chart that would make me want to hold it, to be honest. If anything, the pullback would be something that I would add into. I didn't see anything that made me say I want to sell. So, I mean, with this gap in here, this is actually a bullish gap. So let me delete that. Yeah, and that was the 50% retracement on the gap as well. So this is generally where I would like to see things hold at here and not go below the midpoint of the fair value gap. That's just my confirmation for me personally when it comes to fair value gaps is you retrace about 50% and then you move away from that 50% to say that you're holding it. And that's where you're at here. Just at that 50. So maintaining this level, you really want to see that, but otherwise it's still, there's nothing on this chart when I go to the weekly that makes me feel like it's not going to continue up. I'm not seeing that right now. Maybe another week or so I can look back at it and maybe feel that way, but right now it's a nice chart. And let me do the gap from here. Okay, and so that will put it back. I can just take this high here and do that. I'll say at least that much of the gap to about 36 on the weekly, and nothing changes here. Again, I think it's a really good looking chart. And I didn't even pay attention to this wick being here because I turned all the noise. I turned the candles off. I actually hid the candles just so I can map out the weekly. And I didn't realize that it had actually stopped in here. So I'm just talking. I'm not even on the chart. I do need to share the chart, right? My bad. My bad. Okay. So let me just see if I can do this again. I like Kyra's weekly chart. Kyra did get a closure above this pivot here, which is again not something that I can't say about all altcoins. It did get a closure above here. That's also a momentum reclaim here for the weekly time frame as well. That Kyra closed above. You can still pull back here on the weekly time frame and still look good with Kyra. I think the chart looks phenomenal on the weekly. Daily is showing corrective as you did get this little nasty wick here, and you got these two candles over here. So you can on the daily time frame. Let me just put it to you like this: on the daily time frame, what I was looking at the gap. This is for the week. So on the weekly, I don't like to see fair value gaps. I don't like to see price action close below the midpoint. And so this is just the midpoint for the weekly time frame. That's the midpoint for the weekly time frame. And I just went off of this candle over here to kind of, put that price point in. So 3603 on the weekly. If Kyber is to continue pulling back, but I do like where it is on the daily and would like to see it remain here for the daily. So with the gap here on the daily, it is just hitting that 50 is what it was doing. So you just hit the 50% retracement here. It's the lowest I like to see it go for the fair value gap, which is why I block all the rest of it out when I do it like this, just to focus on that portion of it. So it's a nice fair value gap reaction. It was also, I put on the EMAs, it's also your 26 EMA, and you can see, I don't need to go to that just yet. You can see your 200 is just below this, which is why for the daily, I would like for the bleeding to stop here. Which again, it only looks corrective as the weekly time frame does still look good. Weekly time frame looks absolutely good, in my opinion. So, do want to hold that 200 EMA. And I would have to go in and map out the rest of the weekly because I wasn't really paying attention to price action because I had the price action when I plot my weekly ranges. And so I didn't realize that it actually come up and tap that level already because that was going to be the max I was going to save for price action to get to. But it's already tapped it. And there are a few more levels up above that I could get into. But I think the chart looks good. I can look at it on let's take a look at your 4-hour time frame here. 4-hour, basically the same situation. Like if price can hold in here where it's at now with this weekly level here, and that's 41 here. I would like to see it be able to bounce away from this zone and continue up in terms of the daily and the 4. But again, on the weekly, you could do this much on the weekly for me, and I would still feel comfortable with it. I think the weekly time frame looks absolutely amazing. It's above, price action is above. It's above your 200, your 50, and your 100. And you can see that rejection came from the 200 EMA here on the weekly time frame. You're starting to cross here with the EMAs, not exactly. And that's one of the things I can see here that it has failed to do time and time again on the weekly time frame is get a full flip of the EMAs. But nonetheless, I think it looks absolutely fine. Take that away. Um, and so I like this. I like how it wedged into price action here, which is usually a positive sign. And you can see how before you were not getting above this 50. And once you started to ride it, then price did flip up for this nice little pump here. Let me just take those away. I'll leave that one. Numerically, I do want to see this red cross above this blue and this green here. But it's not the end of the world if it doesn't. I just want to see how you reacted previously. So not really anything to go off with those in terms of momentum. Yeah, and because you're so far away from this dynamic cloud, yeah, that this is the highest point that I could say that price would get to, and it's already done this. So recovering much of this, I would say that that's on the table. You could come back up here and recover this. Otherwise, the weekly time frame looks really nice, especially with the closure above this pivot here. On the daily time frame, let me see if it's any different here for you. A little bit different here once you got that pop there, but still underneath the dynamic cloud again here, and seeing your rejections come somewhere within here. It just happened so fast. A little bit of a bear div right here. But this is showing that price would get a pop to the upside. You just got to be a little patient here on this 4-hour time frame, and you will get that pop to the upside. That tends to happen when this starts to get lower and lower and lower, especially below that 50%, below that mean, when it starts to squeeze in down here. Then that usually leads to a pop, and you can see you're starting to do that over here right now. So some sort of a bounce is going to come in here on the 4-hour time frame. Same goes for when it crosses above the 50 over here and it starts to squeeze in here. You can start to look for some sort of a sell-off to come in. Squeezed over here, and this was your start. Let me take this away. I can see that pending correction without that. But that was a nice indication in here as well. And then the RSI pop. So yeah, a little bit of a cloud cover. So I'm not going to say you won't hit resistance trying to come back up. And if you do, So if you do, I'm just trying to think if I believe it's ready to do that. Since it is a cloud cover, if this correction happens before this orange signal right here relaxes a little bit more. So let me say, if this were to happen, let's say in the next 4 hours, then I wouldn't expect for you to take out this pivot. I just wouldn't expect that. I would be leaning towards some sort of a lower high to get put in again here before you gear up for any send. Take that away. Let me see how well you respect Fib retracement levels. Looks like that was a shallow rejection. It didn't even hit the 382 on that. See, it just tapped it with the line chart. We'll see if it can hit that golden pocket, but I don't see you making a new high just yet. Drop this on that pivot instead. But you definitely do some sort of a bounce, and I would just look back here into this weekly range here with the golden pocket 786 and look for a lower high. But if you do send, then I would look for price to come back into here, which is a minor area for me, and at 63.61 right here for Kyber Network. Nonetheless, a nice looking weekly time frame chart. And I would just go ahead and add you if I can. And since I'm here, let me check back on VET, VChain. I don't know why I have all of this going on. Let me just take that away. So VChain, what was this? Yeah. So far, just a golden pocket 786 retracement, still within the range. Want to see VET continue to hold this here. But if it cannot, then I wouldn't want to see any more than this on VeChain. Doesn't care about the midpoint. Take that away. Like it was a mean reversion, which it was with the cloud cover here, just a mean reversion. With the bear div. VeChain continues to look good. I would like to have seen it get up a little bit higher here. At least take out this. I want to see it close above this pivot. It looked exactly like this every other time it got a run up to where the EMAs just kind of look like a box. And it still got the break. Didn't look too different over here either. So I'd still say VeChain looks good. I'm still in the squeeze. So this is just a matter of time before it does start to get that expansion. Like I said, it looked the same the last time. It was doing this minus this rejection right here, because I didn't see that before. And again, this is got a few days left on this weekly chart, but it's still in this squeeze, and I'll be looking for the expansion to the upside for VeChain. So that nice little squeeze that was in here. Yep. As long as it can hold that momentum line, because I can see that would be the signal for it to go lower. As long as it can hold that, that would be great. Could you come back down here to the weekly? I wouldn't like that at all. I wouldn't say that it still looks good if it did that. But if it just does, does the high here, about 02179, then VET still looks good. And I will continue to look for prices to go higher. And that could be your basis tap through here too. So your center here, say you look good. So I still expect an expansion to the upside. Target 1, target 2 for VeChain. And let me come back over here and look at Bitcoin. Just bragging about how it wasn't getting that closure this time over this 4-hour line here. But We'll just continue to look for it to hold down here. We did just get that unemployment claim. I didn't even pay attention to it. We didn't get any volatility as I expected we would. And that was on the, no, we did that. We still have flash manufacturing at 945. Okay. And I don't look at the liquidity for TRX or any of the other ones that on Coin Glass. Unfortunately. Ethereum's inching closer and closer to the top side of that descending trend line, that falling wedge breakout level. I don't think that we blast up here to 4,008. I don't think anything like that would happen. I think we would basically just back test the breakdown, ascending trend line, possibly maybe the weekly high, and reject. Just looking at the daily, but I can be very wrong. And we go higher, and I will be holding for it if we can do it. Capitulation. I'm just checking back through the altcoins right now. We're still holding. We're still holding. So that's the mean. where we're not seeing the candles close below on that 4-hour time frame. Mm. But I think that's going to do it for me today. The market really isn't doing too much, and I honestly I appreciate everyone who stopped by today. And with your love, please hit the like button. I would greatly appreciate that. And I'll be ready to do this thing all over again at 5 o'clock in the morning. But if anything changes, because we're not doing anything right now, I've gone through the alts. I've taken a look at the stock market and Bitcoin. And we're just continuing to do this little bit of price action here. And when we're ever so lucky, we come down here or we get up there. So, I mean, you can always put on your Bollinger Band for your 4-hour time frame. As long as it's going sideways, I continue to see Bitcoin just bing bong around in this zone. Great scalp opportunities. I wouldn't really look for too much more. But we always start out with scalps, and then if the market gives us more, it gives us more. So I wouldn't attempt to get into anything right now. Not Bitcoin anyway. I wouldn't attempt to get into Bitcoin right now unless it comes back down here into this area here. Then I will enter on a reclaim. Want to make sure it continues to respect the low here. So your standard deviation 2. Just want to make sure it continues to respect that by reclaiming back above that on your Bollinger Band. And that's basically, I mean, we're not doing any more than that. And you could already see when I put the mean on that 20 SMA is basically what price is coming back above. So if it's doing this here and it's coming back above, that's a nice little scalp position to be able to play until it breaks to either side, which at the moment I am looking for it to break to the upside. But if we don't, then that 116 to 115, that's going to be the line in the sand. And that's also going to be a great opportunity if price comes down to here. And I wouldn't want to see it do any more than this. I had the other target down here, like 110, 107. I don't want to see it do that. So this is the line in the sand right here, as far as I can tell for the daily time frame. We don't want it to do any more than this. And right now we're holding the range. So there's nothing more to be said there. So thank you. Thank you all very much. And I will see you at 5 o'clock in the morning. Maybe I can get some rest and not have these bags under my eyes because I know they're there. All right. Love you.